Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Bitcoin Debate, a brand new show on Roxom TV where we're going to discuss very controversial Bitcoin topics. I'm Anton, and together with Piotr, we are going to be your co-host today. Today's topic, is a Bitcoin a digital gold, or it should be considered as a medium of exchange? Before we jump, Piotr, are you ready, my friend, to argue like we always do?
Yes, absolutely. Let's jump right into it. Very exciting topic.
Nice. So, Piotr, like we know each other for a few years, and we are always on a different topic on the Bitcoin side. Uh, do you think Bitcoin should be considered as a digital gold, or it should be a medium of exchange? I know this is one of the most controversial topics right now. Everyone has a different opinion. I remember Jack Dorsey a few weeks ago said that if Bitcoin it's just considered as digital gold, we failed. Do you agree with this? What's your view on this topic?
Yeah, so thanks for asking. I think, you know, Bitcoin as its foundation right now is a store of value to me. And I remain a big store of value maxi of sorts because actually I think for Bitcoin to become a true medium of exchange, I think two things need to happen. First, Bitcoin will need to be an order of magnitude more valuable. So I think Bitcoin will need to catch up with gold and then overtake it. Right now, it's around 10% of gold market cap. I think we'll need to go 100% and then more. So it would position Bitcoin at, 1.3, $1.5 million per coin. And then the second thing, I think governments must stop taxing everyday payments as capital gains. Because right now, in many jurisdictions, when you actually want to pay for coffee with your Bitcoin, that is a taxable event. And that's problematic. That's a huge problem because people are taking taxes really seriously, as they should be. And that's real hurdle. I've seen people, being afraid or scared or uncertain. It really increases the complexity and it's not putting everybody's mind on ease, definitely. So this is a big hurdle for medium of exchange. So just to summarize, I think store of value is here, but we are probably a few cycles away from really embracing Bitcoin as a medium of exchange.
The problem, because you're saying a few cycles away. Man, a few years from now, almost 99% of the Bitcoin would have been mined. And according to some statistics, in 2035, which is 14 years from now, the Bitcoin revenue for miners, not coming from transactional fees, will represent approximately 2.1, 2.3 billion, approximately 2.2 to 2.3 billion per year. How, like, anyone saying that miners should be fine, they are like completely out of mind, because even if somehow the miners manage to be profitable with 2 billion in revenue from new blocks, this is going to be like Bitcoin is not going to be resistant to any attack. Like, even some very high net worth individuals can go and attack the Bitcoin, because miners will be destimulated to keep mining Bitcoin, to keep supporting the network, because the revenues won't be enough, like with 2 billion per year revenue before you cover your expenses. Bitcoin will be completely destroyed, man. Like, if people don't use it for transactions and pay fees, 14, 15 years from now, Bitcoin is not going to be resistant to any bad actors or to 51% attack. You're saying few cycles, but like, we don't have time.
Which is a good point. And I think, but I think you need to differentiate between, microtransactions like famous, like buying coffee with Bitcoin, and then settlement of, large high value transfers. Like you would settle between two companies or two countries, right now you would use gold for settlement, or some other way of settlement. But I think Bitcoin will continue to be used for this final settlement layer because that's actually the only sovereign asset, the better asset, the store of value asset that you can have, that you can own. Whereas, and the revenue for the miners will come exactly from that. So that will keep happening, and I expect the network will keep chumming along. while I don't think that, buying coffee with Bitcoin is necessarily will keep the network alive, because simply Bitcoin wasn't designed and wasn't built for that. I mean, it's just not going to handle that amount of transactions. That's why we've been scaling up in the layers and moving and adding additional layers in the same way that internet is structured, right? You have TCP/IP, and then you have HTTP, HTTPS. You have additional application layers on top of base layer. So for me, Bitcoin is a base layer of money for the ultimate, final, and irreversible settlement. Whereas for, everyday transactions, you can use like Lightning and Liquid and other stuff, the layer 2 protocols that actually enable all those micropayments. So I think that I expect this to continue, and I'm not that much worried about the fees.
Buying a coffee, or for those small transactions, or those small transactions aren't going to make the difference. And I don't think you are right. There are 9.3 billion fiat transactions happening every day. And this is data from McKinsey. I'm not coming out of nowhere with this number. 9.3 billion transactions every day. If we manage to move even 10%, 20% of those transactions to the network, we're speaking about over 1 billion transactions happening right now on the Bitcoin network. And even if they're done on Lightning Network, in order to buy a coffee, you're going to contribute immensely to the layer 1, because at the end, what's happening? You're opening a channel on the Lightning Network. This channel needs to be rebalanced from time to time. You're going to settle on the Bitcoin layer 1. So indirectly, you are actually supporting the network. So if the Bitcoin is not used for buying a coffee, or for those small transactions that are happening every single day, I don't see how like 10, 20, 100 million watt transactions per day will make a big difference for the miners, because they're not going to generate enough revenue from transaction fees. And I think that's what people are missing. Like no one is picking Bitcoin to handle a few billion transactions per day. Obviously, the network is not designed for this. But with layer 2, as you mentioned, or with Liquid, this can be possible indirectly. This is the second order effect. Indirectly, you're helping immensely the layer 1 network, which is going to benefit the miners. And let me give you another example. Right now, you can make transaction from United States to Mexico. It's a fiat transaction settling on top of Bitcoin. The end customer, they have no idea that they're using Bitcoin. You are sending US dollars, the recipient receives Mexican pesos, instant 24/7, working during the weekend, and the people don't even know they're touching Bitcoin. And that's how you indirectly support the layer 1. And that's what I believe we need to fight for. Instead of saying, okay, it's a digital gold, let me put my Bitcoin in a cold wallet, forget about Bitcoin is a successful network. We will figure it out later, maybe 10 years from now, how miners will be profitable. I think that's the wrong way of thinking, of people just not being worried now and saying, I will wait.
Yes. So, the way I look at this is, I know that within the community, there is this obsession around buying coffee with Bitcoin, right? But for me, that is missing the problem Bitcoin actually solves, right? Because right now, Bitcoin actually is a hedge against the monetary debasement, is a sound money. It's not the hedge against Visa or MasterCard. For me, the fiat currencies that we already have, the stable coins that we already have are really optimized for daily payments. But guess what? They fail as a source of value. So for me, if you look at volatility settling on chain, the fees, the confirmation times, it takes 40 minutes or so, right? To send a payment. It makes all of this makes it impractical to use layer 1 as a medium of exchange today, but it's actually irrelevant to the store of value, because store of value is actually solved with this. And I think people need to have a mind shift change, because everybody is talking about payments, spending money, how I can spend, how I can send. I think that's also a symptom for me of a broken money system, the fiat-based economy, where we basically, everybody is on the treadmill trying to spend US dollars, trying to spend fast and spend constantly. because guess what? The money is losing value. The fiat money is being debased constantly, right? So
Correct.
Bitcoin turns it on its head, because once you have access to Bitcoin, you have access to something that puts saving, all of a sudden makes saving very attractive. And the reason why the saving in Bitcoin becomes attractive, because you can see how your purchasing power appreciates as time goes by, which you cannot tell about US dollar, euro, and any of other fiat currencies. So I think Bitcoin right now is the greatest savings technology for people ever invented, and the best form of money we've seen over the last 5,000 years. So while I think the medium of exchange use case and then the unit of account use case will come, but it will come later, because I still think that it feels like an internet in the 90s still when we are looking at Bitcoin. We have settlement layer, it's very raw. We have a base money, it's slow. We have L2s being built, but we are still early here, right? If I go to my local store, I cannot spend Bitcoin. I simply
Mhm.
cannot do it, but they won't accept it. But guess what? If I start saving, anyone listening to this, including me and you, and it's not only about, you buy it and forget it, that's part of it, but you can DCA into it. You can make it a habit of stacking sats, and you can continue to build your position and actually save your purchasing power, the fruits of your labor, in the hardest money ever invented, which is Bitcoin. So for me, again, as I think medium of exchange is coming, it's not there yet. And I think the store of value will continue for some time, because first we really need to agree that this is, nation independent, permissionless, bearer asset that is universally acknowledged and recognized as money, as universal collateral, as a store of value. Once everybody in the world can agree on that, we can then start thinking about how can we use this to pay for the coffee. But now the problem with the paying coffee is basically we have already systems in place that allow me to pay coffee easily and fast with zero problems. And also, as I mentioned at the very beginning, if the regulatory environment if your jurisdiction, if the place where you live, if they think that paying for this coffee is a taxable event, we are not going to get adoption here.
You know, before Titanic sinking, a lot of people were confident that it's too big to fail. Like it's the greatest ship ever built, and it's impossible to sink. And that's what's you're saying, and what I feel like everyone on the Bitcoin space, or most of the people in the Bitcoin space, are saying right now. Right now, I mean, it's a digital gold. Let's just save in Bitcoin. Let's just forget about my Bitcoin. I want to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, which is good. And then they don't do their duty to help the network. How buying Bitcoin, putting in a cold wallet and forgetting about is good for the network? How exactly Michael Saylor, who is investing billions of dollars in Bitcoin network, is helping the network? I understand the people who are very happy that someone is spending hundreds of millions of dollars every week, which is pumping their price. But those are speculators. Those are not people who really care for the Bitcoin network, and that's what we are missing. I don't agree with your point that everyone is speaking how to spend Bitcoin. It's exactly the opposite. Everyone is speaking how to store your Bitcoin in a cold storage, forget about and do nothing with it, which is a tremendous mistake, and people are underestimating how soon miners will face significant issues, because don't forget about diminishing returns. Like every cycle, the Bitcoin price is not appreciating with the same speed or the same percentage like the cycle before. And if we assume the current cycle is around the end, next cycle we may have like 50-60% price appreciation. The cycle after maybe 20%, 30%, and then at the end the Bitcoin will be significantly below the 1 million which everyone is expecting to reach. So miners will be destimulated. So that's what I really makes me anxious and angry, that people are considering Bitcoin as too big, and like the network will figure it out itself how to deal with the miners fee, how to deal with the issues that it will face very soon. And you also mentioned about the taxable event. We can argue a lot about if buying a coffee can be a taxable event. Maybe in some jurisdictions, yes, but like what exactly you are selling? You're not selling your Bitcoin. You're spending your Bitcoin to acquire a coffee. How this can be a taxable event? If you sell your Bitcoin for fiat and then use your fiat to buy something, yes, taxable event. But if you just spend Bitcoin, it's like you spend fiat to buy a TV. Is this a taxable event? Arguably not. So like the infrastructure, I agree, it's not here, but that's why we need to keep building and ensure that merchants can seamlessly accept Bitcoin and people can interact with Bitcoin without even know they interact with Bitcoin. And that's how we can ensure Satoshi vision will become a reality. Because right now I feel like people just don't care. They care only about the price appreciation. Just make a few quick bucks. Do you think
Which
Bitcoin?
is
Yeah.
on your point, I mean, which is helping Bitcoin. I mean, more and more owners of Bitcoin, more and more people getting into the Bitcoin space. We have more and more wallets. We have more and more activities. People even like taking Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin, putting in cold storage. It's better than not having this because those people, they learn about history of money. They learn what is sound money. They see the appreciation. They are happy. They orange pill everybody around them, which is making everybody aware of this new thing, which is making this Bitcoin more anti-fragile. And you can see market cap growing. And at some point, everybody owns it already. And it's becoming like a already established knowledge, already established protocol. And everybody agrees that this is the store of value. This is the digital gold 2.0 for 21st century. And now we can talk about how we can spend it between ourselves. Now, I also think that on the I spoke to many people, especially early people who got into Bitcoin early in 2014, 2015, and they all were spending Bitcoin. They got into medium of exchange mode pretty fast. Instead of saving every single sats and stacking more, they've been literally spending, buying services, buying products, and paying with Bitcoin. And guess what? You can imagine what they are saying right now. They are saying, in 2015, I spent X amount of Bitcoin
Mm,
on some stupid thing that I didn't really need that much. But at the time, I needed it. And now they're
correct.
looking at the price appreciation and they are crying
Correct.
inside. It's very
Correct.
painful realization that they, instead of holding those precious sats and letting the purchasing power accumulate, they decided to spend it. So I think until you get to the position where Bitcoin is 10x or 50x from here, and the potential price appreciation is decreasing. So as you said, we have decreasing returns. At this point, medium of exchange will be way more viable, because at this point, well, Bitcoin is probably not going to 100x anytime soon from 10 million. Once it's at 10 million or 1 million, whatever that is, then at this point, everybody should be using and probably will be using as a medium of exchange, because the technology we all already monetized or demonetized the real estate, the other asset classes. Money already flew,
How sorry,
from that.
how they will use it for minimum of exchange? Assuming we are in the time where what you're saying happened, how people will use Bitcoin as minimum of exchange with the current infrastructure? Which
But that's what
infrastructure
I'm
provider
saying. The current infrastructure is current because we are early in that use case.
in
So
Nor
let's say 10 years
no?
from now, 10 years from now, imagine a Bitcoin being at 1.5 million. We have more layer twos, we have layer threes, we have more companies, we have more connections, more people in the space, more companies building, more protocols. Everything's more established and more mature. And at this point, it will probably become very like the total transaction volumes, everything will grow.
Yeah,
It'll be
but
way higher than it is right
yeah,
now.
and you're hoping that at this point in time, the infrastructure will be built because people will assume that other people are going to use Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. That's what I'm saying. Like we're missing the connecting point between using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. Maybe the time is not now. Maybe it's going to take a lot of time or a few years. versus who will do this infrastructure, because like who exactly is building the infrastructure right now for Bitcoin to become a medium of exchange? I think to your point, when you open the browser, for your example, with the different protocols for the browser, when you open your browser, you don't care about which protocols you're using, and you may even not understand which protocol you're using. You just press the button, the job is done. It should be the same with Bitcoin. You press transaction, you make a transaction, you want to transfer US dollars from France to someone in Malaysia, or from Argentina to Singapore. You press the button, the transaction is settled on top of
And this
Bitcoin.
is exactly how it's working already for stablecoins. So why do you need Bitcoin in that?
Because stablecoins, who is the issuer? Let's review this one. Stablecoins, they're centralized. You have Circle, you have Tether. Those are like companies that are owning the stablecoin. Bitcoin is the most decentralized and trusted network in the world. So are you going to trust Circle or Tether
For
to
buying
process
coffee? Absolutely. For small payments? Absolutely.
billions of transactions every day, and assume that the stable coin is not going to be depacked, which historically happened for both, for USDC and USDT. So you're going to settle, you're going to use USDT for a settlement currency. What if the currency depack and suddenly you sent $1 and then the recipient receives 0.9 because something went wrong? This cannot happen with Bitcoin because you're converting instantly if you want to convert. One Bitcoin is always one Bitcoin. So why should I use stablecoins instead of Bitcoin?
I think,
Why stablecoins are better than Bitcoin? Let me put it
look,
in this way.
I'm not big proponent. I mean, but current solutions that we have right now are working sort of well. I mean, it's just the problems that you're saying are mostly hypothetical and edge casey sound to me. Because it's like the decentralization property of Bitcoin network is exactly solving not payments, but it's solving the store of value case. The fact that you have proof of work, that you need to transform the energy into something incorruptible that cannot be faked. And this is exactly the solution to the store of value problem, the money debasement problem. It's a solution to, oh, I can increase the money supply, right? I can increase the money supply on the whim. I could just print the money out of thin air. I can increase money supply. I can add additional money to the circulation. And decentralized design of Bitcoin solves that, plus the proof of work. But you actually don't need decentralization in payments, do you?
It's a principal question. What do you think it will work in longer term? Because back to the point, okay, assuming you trust Circle, you trust Tether for their stable coins, do you really trust Ethereum network? Do you trust Tron network to process those transactions? Do you trust Solana? Solana is the only blockchain I am aware of being down so far. So how exactly you're going to make decentralized network to use for payment, for international payments, operating 24/7 with stable coins that are operating in their existing blockchain networks like Ethereum, Solana, or Tron? For me, that's not scalable. Like Tron was created a few years ago, the same with Solana. Ethereum, Ethereum it's a little bit longer, but is it like truly decentralized on Tron? There are some people are arguing that the owner is owning over 30-40% of the network. This Ethereum is not decentralized at all. The Ethereum Foundation, they have full control on Solana. I don't know how reliable Solana can be for international payments. So there are those two layers of issues. First, trusting the stablecoin issuer, and then trusting the underlying network for processing those payments. And you don't have this with Bitcoin. There is no one to trust about issuing Bitcoin, and there is nothing to trust on the network. It's fully decentralized, and you can see this on chain. So that's like principal question: should we use Bitcoin or should we use stablecoins with the respective blockchain networks? And
I
I think
think,
in long term, Bitcoin is always winning. Remember the Bitcoin Cash, the blockchain, the size worth. Bitcoin Cash was
yes.
supposed to be faster and
Was
cheaper.
supposed to be attempt to make a payments work because it's Bitcoin was deemed too slow. And they say, no, 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 let's make it faster. And it didn't
Yes, and
work,
it
right?
failed. Yes, it failed. Exactly. It failed. And then Lightning Network emerged as a very, very good
And that's
example.
when people realize that you don't create another blockchain, you build on the base layer and you add additional layers going up instead of just adding yet another blockchain, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying why to use stable coins in longer term, because Bitcoin is always winning, and it showed through history that we win against other alternatives. And right now, the main alternative is stable coins. Again, I don't have anything against stable coins. I have some issues with on principle how exactly this will work in like forever. We're not speaking to have a solution for 5-10 years. We're speaking to have solution for decades. So that's my point. We are around the end of the debate. Do you think I have one more question? Do you think Bitcoin, in order to escape from the digital gold, can be used to generate some income for the owner, which indirectly will help the blockchain network because it will create some on-chain activity? Do you think you can lend your Bitcoin securely? You can make some yield, or maybe you can borrow against your Bitcoin. Do you think this will become a trend?
Yes, I think these are picking up both of these use cases when you're lending Bitcoin for revenue or yield, and then borrowing fiat or stable coins against Bitcoin. Because if Bitcoin is a store of value, it's super collateral, then you sort of can do it. It's a natural step. So yeah, I expect those both trends to grow in the future.
Yeah, because I think if you start earning yield on your Bitcoin, or you borrow against your Bitcoin, this will generate on-chain activity, which second order effect to help the miners with some transactions. So if people can do more with their Bitcoin rather than just storing in their cold storage, I think this can be also a win for the network. And now, yes, you may not use Bitcoin for payments, but you use your Bitcoin to generate yield and to actually make your Bitcoin works for you. I think that's what people also underestimate, and it's not like a very widely accepted point that you can do something with your Bitcoin instead of just keeping it in a cold storage.
Yes. Maybe as a closing thoughts, I wanted to say that for me, I really want to see Bitcoin succeed. I think the medium of exchange eventually will happen. It's just for me, it looks like, you know, pushing for medium of exchange right now is like trying to build, Netflix video streaming service when the internet is Netscape era internet in 90s. So it's just as the technology improves, as the companies are building those layer twos, layer threes, etc., as we go more people into the ecosystem, then this is natural direction. So this is inevitable.
Nice. You couldn't convince me about those points. I'm sure I couldn't convince you, but that's why we always, like, for the past 6 years, we always have different opinions and different views. I really hope everyone watching this enjoyed this debate. We didn't play a game. I really believe in what I'm saying. I'm absolutely sure Piotr also believes in what he's saying. So thanks everyone for watching, and
And drop your comments, or like which one you think is the proper, is it store of value, or is it medium of exchange? I mean, which side of debate you are on? I mean, we're super happy to read and relate to that, so, or comment on that. So let's keep the conversation going.
yeah, exactly. And maybe someone will make a point which we didn't make today, and change the narrative. Who knows? Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Great Bitcoin Debate. It was absolute pleasure. Thank you.